Hi, it's Marie from Lost Arts of Nature. I'm filming in the kitchen today because I'm going to show you how to make apple cider vinegar. It's blowing a gale outside. It's like there's like a storm going on out there, so I thought stay inside in the kitchen. We've got the Rayburn on, so it's nice and warm. And yeah, I'm going to talk you through apple cider vinegar. So I'm hoping this will be the first of a few kind of how-to videos, so I think it might be kind of a useful thing for me to start making. And I thought I'd start with apple cider vinegar because it's such a good one. It's really easy to make. It's really cheap to make. In fact, it's almost free to make really. And it's really useful for loads of things. So we use it quite a lot at home. First and foremost, I use it as a conditioner for my hair. So I don't actually use any shampoos or conditioners bought from shops. I make my own from what we have in the kitchen. And I'll probably talk about all of that another time, but just to say that apple cider vinegar makes a really good conditioner for your hair. So you literally just dilute it in some water and rinse it through your hair and then rinse it out again, and it's really good. It makes your hair really shiny and it's really good for your scalp and hair health, and it keeps it really clean and fresh. So yeah, that's a really good one, and that's probably what I use apple cider vinegar for most of all. Some people drink apple cider vinegar every day as well. That was something I used to do a few years ago. And I stopped doing it, and I don't really know why I stopped doing it. It just didn't really work for me anymore, but it might be something that I take up again in the future. There are masses of health benefits apparently from drinking apple cider vinegar. So that's another good use for it. We also use it for our chickens, so we put a little bit in their water. I can't remember the dilution rate. I was trying to remember before filming this video. I think it's something like a teaspoon per gallon, but check it online before you start splashing apple cider vinegar at the chickens. But it's really good for their internal workings, and it's good for keeping internal parasites at bay for chickens, so that's another good use. And we use it in cleaning as well, so it's really good for cleaning windows or mirrors, little bit on the Rayburn sometimes, washing floors, you know, just really hot water with some apple cider vinegar splashed in it. It brings the floors up lovely. So yeah, anything like that. It's really good for loads of stuff and really easy to make. So I'm going to talk you through the process. I've never done a how-to video before, so this is quite exciting. Not sure how I'm going to do it. We'll see how it evolves. So apples. You need apples first and foremost. So apples, use organic wherever you can. Really is best if you can use organic apples. You don't have to, but you know, yeah, it really is best if you can. Doesn't matter about the state of the apples. For instance, I've got here a bag of apples which I got from our local fruit and veg shop, and these were going bad, so they've got quite a lot of bad bits in them, like that one's like really ugh. So I'm going to just cut all of the rotten bits out and all of the squidgy bits and just use the okay bits. You probably don't want like actual rotten bits going in, and definitely, you know, not mouldy stuff, but you know, they don't have to be pristine eating apples. Sorry, that's the bread machine alarm going off. Shh. It's, yeah, just telling me that it's doing its next thing. Yes, also half-eaten apples. We've got a 5-year-old daughter and she's notorious for eating half an apple and then leaving the other half. So I collect up the scraps of those and add those in. But also the really great thing, this is what I love about it, because it's if you're making like an apple pie or an apple crumble and you're peeling all those apples and coring them, all of those peels and cores, put all of those scraps in. You don't need a whole apple, you don't need like the fleshy meaty bit necessarily. You can obviously, but you don't have to. So if you're making, you know, an apple pie or an apple crumble, just collect all of those peels and those cores, and you can put those in and make apple cider vinegar, and it's such a good use of what otherwise would be going into the compost heap. And you need glass or a plastic container. I'm going to use this glass bottle today because it's all I could find, but as long you could use anything. I've got one here that's already fermented that I'm going to show you later, and it's in like this big plastic square container. So yeah, you can use anything plastic, anything glass, and presumably ceramic, although I've never done it in anything ceramic, but just not metal, because the metal reacts to the vinegar. So you don't want to use anything metal. That goes for spoons as well. If you're stirring it, use wooden spoons to stir it, or plastic ones. So the first things first is you want to chop your apples up. So maybe what I'll do is angle the camera down so you can see me chopping. Okay, so I've kind of balanced you against a load of like kitchen utensils, so hopefully it holds okay. But yeah, so we're just cutting the apples basically into kind of rough chunks and stuff. You don't have to be too exact about it. Apple cider vinegar is very, very forgiving. So really, there's really not much science to it. You're just wanting to get the apples roughly chopped and in your container, basically. So I've got all these rotten ones here, and I'm just salvaging whatever I can from them. Oh, that one's really far gone. I might not use that one. The thing is that I actually pick these up probably about, I'm trying to remember, about 4 or 5 days ago, and I probably should have used them a little bit sooner than now. I've probably done this a little bit too late, but today was the earliest I could get to film. With the pips, so I've heard some people like to take them out. I don't personally, and I think the reason some people do is that, of course, there's that kind of worry about, you know, the amount of cyanide. That's very, very small amount, you know, potentially of cyanide that's in them. I leave it up to your judgment really, whether you're happy to leave them in or not. I kind of just bung everything in really, but then I'm not massive on drinking mine. I use mine mostly for, like I say, conditioner for my hair, or the chickens and cleaning and stuff. So it really doesn't bother me at all. So I wonder how many apples this is going to take. I've also heard of some people taking out this little bit here because they don't like that being in there. You could if you wanted to. There's no rules. You can do it like what you like, really. You can make it up as you go along, whatever you're happy with. The only thing that I do actually, I should mention, I do take out is the stalk. I do take the stalk out. Just feel like I should. But again, you know, I'm sure it probably doesn't matter if you leave it in. So I've got that filled to about there. You do want to leave a bit of space in the top. You don't want to go right up to the top because this does expand just a little. But now you've got all of your apples in here. So I think I'm going to do the rest of this actually with this camera angle actually, because this is quite good. You can see what I'm doing. So what you need to do next is you need to cover the apples with water. So you don't want to use just regular tap water because of the chlorine in it. So either filter your water, and I know that a lot of people filter them through like coffee filters to do this. I don't have any coffee filters because we don't use them. So what I've done is I boiled the kettle and then I poured it in a jug and then I let it cool, and I'm told that helps dechlorinate it. So I'm just going to go and get the water from the other room and I'll be back and I'll pour it. My water's still a little bit warm, but I think it'll be okay. I don't think it will cause a problem. So I'm going to just pour that in. So the next step, now that we've filled the water up to cover the apples, the next step is to add the sugar. So again, you know, advice varies if you look it up online. Some people say that you put in a teaspoon per apple. Some people say you put in a tablespoon per cup of water. There's various different ways of doing this. I think really just add what you're kind of happy with. It's a real guessing game, apple cider vinegar. And you can't really go wrong at the end of the day. Just play about with it and see how you feel about it. I use organic raw cane sugar for ours just because we prefer to have things organic. So I think I put in about something like about 5 apples in here. So I'm going to put in about 4 to 5 teaspoons of sugar. 3, 4. I'm going to put about 4.5 because I can't quite remember exactly how many apples I put in. So like I said earlier, you don't want to use any metal in here. So I've got a wooden spoon and I'm just going to use the handle end to just mix that sugar in and just poke all the apples down a bit, because I just want them to kind of compact down a bit and all get covered in the water and the sugar. So that should do. You just want them roughly down under the water. So now you need something to weight this down with because you want those apples to stay under the water. So in this instance, this little glass jobby works really well. So I'm just going to pop that on there. Oh, gosh, the water level rose quite a bit. I don't want water going inside there. So I'm actually just going to tip a little bit of water out. I obviously just overfilled it slightly. Ooh, gosh, right, so it's in anyway. Then you want to cover it with a breathable cloth. I've just got some muslin just to keep any flying insects out. So this jug now is going to just sit actually probably in here in the kitchen. You don't want it to be cold, you want it to be relatively warm or like room temperature really. Preferably dark though, so I wouldn't just leave it on the countertop. I might put it in a cupboard or something. But the important thing about this is that you want to stir it every day. So every day you just want to take that muslin off, take the weight off, get your wooden spoon and just give it a little bit of a stir every day, and it's just to prevent any mould growing on the surface. Sometimes you will see just a tiny little bit of mould growing on there, in which case don't worry about it too much if it's just a little bit. because as it turns into vinegar, the vinegar will actually eat the mould, so you won't have anything to worry about. But if it really goes mouldy, then you need to throw it away and start again. But I've never had that happen. I think it's a pretty foolproof kind of process. So just find a place now to put your container for about 2 weeks, something like that. As long as it's, you know, at room temperature and you're stirring it every day, within about 2 weeks you should be able to smell that it's got like an alcoholic kind of smell to it, and it should start bubbling as well. So, and that will be evidence that that fermentation is happening. So, and then it will look like this one that I've got here, which has been brewing actually for probably about 4 weeks. But when it gets to this kind of stage now, you see it's like changed colour and it smells really vinegary. So at this point you can strain it, and again you want to strain it with a plastic strainer rather than a metal one. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now, and you can watch me straining it off. Whoa, there's loads in here. This is going to fill this bowl. Wow, it smells really strong. It's going to be a good batch. Let's get those guys back in there. Right, what I'll do with this now is I'll cover it with a tea towel and put a string around here, and then I'm going to put this in a dark place again, nice and warm, and let it sit for about 4 weeks. And then once it's sat for 4 weeks, then you'll have apple cider vinegar. And what I've done in the past is kept my old apple cider vinegar bottles where I've bought some from shops, and I'm going to sterilise these and put this liquid into these bottles to store it and use it. One thing I need to just add that I haven't added so far is that when you're doing this stage and you're putting your apples into your water, what you can do is add a little bit of the mother of a previous batch. So the mother looks like this kind of gritty stuff at the bottom. This is an old batch of apple cider vinegar, and it's got like this dark brown gritty stuff at the bottom. So what you can do is when you've chopped your apples and you've put your water and your sugar in here, you can just pour a little bit of vinegar in, just a splash, and it just helps that fermentation process along a bit, and you'll see that it will ferment a little bit quicker, and it just gives it that helping hand really. So that's all about apple cider vinegar. I hope it's been a good one to watch, and I hope it's been helpful, and take care, and yeah, we'll see you back here again next week for another video. If you've enjoyed it, please do subscribe, and I'll see you again next week. Bye now.